hello.
That
And
is such an amazing intro.
Yeah, I think they've done a great job on that.
Can't
The
hear you,
team.
Nikki.
Oh, can you hear me now? You can't hear me. Oh, okay. How about now? Can you hear me now?
No, I still can't hear you.
Oh my goodness. Okay, let me see.
It was working perfect until this moment.
That happens sometimes, when you're in the. Let's see. Wow.
Wow. I can't hear Nikki though, Chenny. Can you hear me, Nikki?
Can you hear this one?
Are you in, Nikki?
Can you hear me?
I'm gonna take my headset off. Maybe there's something wrong with the headset. Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now, Nikki? I can hear you. No?
Okay, let's try this one again.
Yeah,
How
I
about
can
now?
hear you loud and clear. Hey, Nikki.
You can't hear me?
I can. Can you?
Okay, yes. Okay, we're good. Well, technical
This is
glitches.
fantastic. Let me try and put my headset back on. This should
Okay.
work now.
Yes. For those of you that are here and patient as we work through some technical glitches, I am so thankful. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. I can hear you loud and clear, Nikki.
Okay, perfect. Well, we're here. We're here starting a founder education series in week 2. Marketing sometimes goes haywire, right? Sometimes we just have glitches or whatever, but we've been through that, and I'm glad that we can work through this together.
Yeah, technology can be trusted only to this extent, and
Right.
especially prime time. That's when things start glitching.
Yes. But what's also fun is that that's a whole we're working right now through this whole AI time, right? And I'm sure that we could make this up, right? You could make a conversation that would pretend like there was a technical glitch, but it's so much better when you get the real people that are having issues, right?
100%, absolutely. And yeah, talk about AI. It's everywhere for all the right reasons. I'm an eternal optimist though, so I really think this AI thing is going to make life better for us in the short, medium, and long run. Obviously, there's a change that you have to go through, and there's a resistance that you always have to, handle. So that's where we are. Star
Right.
Wars.
Yeah, right. Yes. And what's interesting is you're these things that you're doing and working on right now with AI have to do so much with humans. So you're helping humans to use AI to be better creators. So I guess we can jump right in and you
Absolutely.
can and tell us about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, 100%. And you said something, about humans. Absolutely, we are going and we are really betting on the human aspect of creativity, of storytelling, of just teaching, education, every aspect that is purely human. Uh, yeah, hey Valeria, and the AI though is not something that I really have integrated in a big way, because everything that we've built between VocaTales and Uptales, the ecosystem that I call as a creator OS, is primarily a human first ecosystem. So and let me define that a little bit more. What we've done as part of this ecosystem is, on the VocaTales side, we've made a creator software. It's a place where creators, and that includes writers, that includes business, nonfiction storytellers, that includes coaches, they can bring in two forms of creation. One is the creative form, where they can ideate, brainstorm, and build their content, organize and build their content or stories. And the second is people who deal with structures, people who deal with templates, structures, frameworks, systems. I mean, that is essentially has been the cornerstone of everything that people have built over the millennia. A lot of frameworks that you can just say, okay, this works. Let's kind of bring this framework. Let's have this template on the platform, and then let's see how others can learn by using these templates and frameworks. That's what we've really done. And now, to enable any of these template creation, to enable any of these ideation aspects of story building, if you want to use AI, yes, you can. Now you can use AI here, you can use on our platform, or you can use AI on any other platform that's out there. There are and these days AI is become such that it's omnipresent. It's a matter of integrating the right model at the right time, and that's how you really build on your AI infrastructure. So this is the creator tool side of the entire business that we are really talking about. But it's not, it doesn't end here, because the other side is the human side, which is human expertise. That's how I got to know you. I reached out to you saying, Nikki, I would love to have you on Uptales. It's a place where you can talk to human experts, anyone who's stuck, and whether they're building a story, whether they're building a founder pitch, business pitch, whether they are kind of writing a non-fiction of sorts, or they are just creating a marketing advertising strategy. And a lot of people are moving towards this solopreneur, individual small businesses these days, because the world is such, economy is changing. I think that that trend is going to keep increasing. And now you're stuck. So when you're stuck, you can't always go back and talk to AI. In fact, AI is going to get you not unstuck. AI is going to take you in this black hole, or it can be Alice's classic rabbit hole, where you may not get the answers. And that's when you have to talk to the experts who've been there, who've done it. That's Uptales. And that's the power. That's the ecosystem. That's the flywheel that I'm really talking about here. It's meant for creators. It's meant for the future. We really think the world is moving more and more towards these creator ecosystems, more and more creators and storytellers who are going out there to establish their presence, and that's who we want to cater to.
So tell me about some of the ones, how you met them.
Oh, wow.
Tell me.
Some amazing people. It's been a ride, because any product like of this sort, a lot of people who've started using this our tool are people who create stories, who write. And that's been my number one ICP, if you will, ideal customer profile, people who really use the product. And it's been a ride, close to 2.5 years since we've started building this product iteratively. I call this a novel project and a product. Not everyone has tried to build a storytelling platform of this sort. A lot of people focus on productivity and efficiency. What we've focused on is the creative part of creating stories as well. So I started reaching out to a lot of writers. I managed to create a group or a community of writers on Facebook. It has close to 250,000 members. And reaching out to that group and asking a handful of people, that folks, would you like to try this software that we are building? It is a tool that can help you organize your stories. So a lot of people who like to plot, they said, okay, all right, let's get in. That's how we started, iteratively building the product. It doesn't happen overnight, because you don't get a perfect product. You have to work with the users, and that's what we did. Close to 1.5 years, anywhere between 15 to 18 odd months, we were iterating with the users to see what meets their needs. And then I started taking it to institutions. Again, I had to reach out to a lot of different, first degree connects, second degree connects, and then even do a lot of cold outreaches. And happened to get to Seattle University, happened to get to Northeastern University. I'm now just starting out with LA Film School. A lot of script writers who do world building and who do a lot of complex story writing. Different plots, different scenes that have to all come together. So they've started using our product, and they're calling it Canva meets Scrivener. So exactly what I would have loved to the product to be positioned as. Canva is this new age design tool. Nobody would have known about them. Nobody knew about them 10 years back, and today I think every single creator, every single person who's creating designs and content, they know how to get on Canva. And Scrivener is a tried and tested writing or story organizing tool. uh, Several million users over the last 20 years that they have amassed. But I started writing my own story 4 years back. I started using Scrivener, and I realized that it's not a tool for me. It's too dated. As it's a great tool, but it is not modern enough. So we've taken a lot of those inputs and started working on incorporating those elements and making it a lot more modern, lot more improved user experience. And that's what it is. So these users have been uh, through the group, the community that I built, and then obviously outreach. A lot of cold outreach is part of the sales process, part of the distribution process, part of the go to market. You have to do it. Yeah, it's been a fun ride. And on the Uptales side, the experts, I have close to 100 advisors that we have on Uptales. They have a massive following and subscription base. They have close to 20 million subscribers. Folks like yourself, folks like Jason Pfeiffer, uh, uh, Raj Nation, Corey Warfield. You know some of them, and many others. People who are published on, who are New York Times, Wall Street Journal, who are LinkedIn top voices, who won multiple awards. So a very quality, and that's what I say. This is not a place where you can find any average expert, or you're struggling to find who would be the right fit. Every single advisor on Uptales is a top-notch expert that you can blindly trust, as long as it meets your need, that or the challenge that you're currently stuck with, and they can help you unstuck. So that's it's again, people who've known me for the last many years, people who've seen this ride of building the ecosystem. It's not a straightforward ride. People who've seen the grit of building the product and continuing to stay focused on the vision and iterate and be flexible on the road to meet that vision. They are on Uptales. They are believers. They trust what we've built.
I'm going to take out a couple of the words as we're creating a founders education series. You used a couple of adjectives like flexible.
Yeah.
And storytelling is another skill that founders should have. It's not a soft skill anymore. It's a strategic skill to be able to tell what your story is. So you're talking about how you've met these people, how you started the Facebook group, how you're testing out, this first version of VocaTales with it. So now you're in a position where you're going to market and you're putting your marketing strategy out there. I want you not as a sales for the story, but tell me the story. Like, how are you right now feeling as a founder? You've gone through all of this beta testing, and you're in that moment where you get to say, here's my toy that I made and I want to show you. Tell me about what that feels like right now.
It's a mixed feeling. It's taken a lot of time to get to this point, but the confidence when you keep going. There's a classic saying: you always overestimate what you can do in 2 years, and underestimate what you can in 10. And that's exactly how we started out. Me and my business partner Gul. We've been friends for 2 decades. We know what we were getting into, but we did overestimate where we are going to be in the first 2 years. It took us much longer, but here we are. I think we have a very solid product that has a user base, that has people who are already giving us the right inputs, and that who've started using the product. And so it's a confident feeling, but also it's prime time ready. And when it's prime time and showtime ready, you have to make the right investments. You have to really focus on the right channel partners. Distribution is key right now. So I'm really with this ecosystem, I'm very upbeat, optimist, and positive, but I'm also nervous, because we've put in tremendous amount of time, money into and effort into building what we've built so far. Now it's time to take it to those who care. So everyone who's been a user, everyone who has been a believer and a supporter in this, I think we need their support to help us scale up, to step it up. It's like the video game. You have to keep leveling up to go higher, and that's when the challenge gets even more complex. But that's when the fun also gets higher and higher. So that's where we are. I feel upbeat, and I need the support of the ecosystem, the believers, the supporters that who've come our way, and the users as well. I'll give you a classic example. Just last week, I was talking to one of the students from Seattle University, who is from the creative writing faculty of of Seattle University. The professor and the head of the chair for the creative writing department out there. He's the one who introduced VocaTales into the mix. And I was doing a call with Victor, and he said that, Anubhav, I've been into script writing. I'm doing my major is screenwriting, screenplay, and I have not seen a tool like this. I'm so thankful to you for giving it to us as students. And now I can tell you, I want to take this to my entire film and media major department. I want to go and talk to my professor, because this tool is that good. Now that's the word of mouth that I'm looking for. That's the belief that I want people to have, that yes, I want to take this product, these guys, what they've built, to others. That's going to make us grow, from where we are right now. So yeah, a lot of hard work, a lot of pain, if you will, that we've gone through. But here we are, ready, upbeat, positive, and just keep doing. Just head down. We are head down builders, dreamer doers. So while we've dreamt of this big storytelling ecosystem that we wanted to believe, I think we've done half the job of building it right. But the remaining half is going to be user led and adoption led, and that's where our entire effort is going to be.
Well, that's where you're going to be using the storytellers from Uptales to help teach the creators how to use the next program for VocaTales, right? So
Yes.
you have this great ecosystem to where those that have been there, those that understand how to do storytelling, will teach those that maybe have a little bit of skill, but they can be developed easily using the templates and stuff. So
Absolutely, and that's why this ecosystem was so key. Uh, Raj Nation, he's one of the experts on Uptales, and he trains a lot of founders. And he's also a rapper. So a very very high end storyteller, if you will. He understands the power of stories at large, and he trains founders to create their pitch decks, to create their stories, to create their elevator pitches. And he's on Uptales as a master. People can talk to him for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes. People can also workshop with him in larger setting, one-on-one, where he helps people create their pitch decks. People can book a cohort session, group session, to talk to him. People can also buy his template on on Uptales, that they can now use on VocaTales as a tool to create their elevator pitch. So, I mean, if you really look at this, it is an entire ecosystem, from, ability to talk to an expert, to be able to use their frameworks and templates and see how it all can benefit them. So the power of this is, if you can afford talking to a human expert, great, talk to these extraordinary people. If you can't, use the frameworks and structures, that either they bring to the table, or use the frameworks and templates that have existed for so long in the classic storytelling, screenwriting, script writing, and book writing. There are frameworks, 3-act structure, Feynman technique, Pixar's story spine. For screenwriting, there is Cat in the Hat. I mean, we've brought in all these templates and frameworks on VocaTales as templates that people can start using, and that's been the power. So if you want to start from scratch, start from nowhere, you can use storyboarding to start from nowhere. And if you want to use these templates as starting points, you can use these templates that are pre-existing on the platform. This is how a lot of existing tools have also been built, that are storyboarding platforms. They've been storyboarding platforms, but not storytelling platforms. That's the difference. So they have templates that people can bring in. So that's exactly where we are going. We are building those templates, but we are focusing on the building blocks of a story. So if you're a fiction writer, you need to understand the characters, the scenes, the events, the locations, themes, motifs. We've given these building blocks to people. If you're a non-fiction writer, you have to now look at from a different lens. You have a thesis, a main idea, maybe an evidence, an argument, and now that's how you start building your nonfiction content. Now, if you're a business owner, a founder, you have to look at it from a customer's lens. The problem that the customer faces, the vision that you are catering to, the mission that you're going after, the goals, the
Mhm.
milestones. Now, again, these are different building blocks, but you need to understand what really goes into these building blocks. That's what we have given on the platform for people to be able to understand and think, not just try and get to an outcome. I think the whole ideology is based on, and going back to the very first point, you said, we have this tool that is AI led. I would say this tool that is thinking led. That's where we are really giving it. We are
Right.
giving an opportunity for people to be able to think first and now put their ideas out there. And now, if you really want to take your thought process further, talk to an expert if you can, through Uptales. And if not, talk to AI. That's fine. That's how the ecosystem gets complete. So that's the way I'm really looking at, making this unique and special for the
Mhm.
creators.
Well, even with the nonfiction, we've learned that people need that framework to be able to understand the story. Like if you just have a bunch of facts thrown out there, it doesn't sink as well. And we've learned from lots of case studies that you need to have, even in your stories of nonfiction, there needs to
Yeah,
be an intro, there needs to be some hooks in there needs to
yeah,
be some meat to the story. And then as you wrap it up to where you've told them what you're going to tell them, you've told them, and now you tell them what you told them, right? In that
yeah.
framework.
Yeah, nonfiction is, in my mind, it's always about the insights.
Hmm.
And those insights need to be the ones that people should be able to action on. That's the power. If you can really, action, make those insights actionable, that's the win that you want to leave your readers, your audience with. If you just leave a bunch of frameworks, bunch of different non-connected or interconnected content there, and people can't really act upon them, you've missed out on creating the impact. So
Hmm.
that's how I'm looking at people being able to not just create their stories, but also be able to leave actionable frameworks at the end of it for others to engage with. And then it becomes a continuous iterative learning process for them. That's the power of the tool that we've really brought in here. I'll again give you a classic example. When I got your preparing for this podcast, and look, I've not been into many podcasts. This might be probably one of the first ones. Absolutely. I've done a lot of sales in the past. I used to be out there talking to customers all the time. I've, putting myself out there, cold calling and, senior executive level discussions, all of that. But when I got the details about this podcast, it came in two formats. One was a presentation that said, this is all that we are going to do in this call. Obviously, you have to do your preparation for making sure that this is top notch. And then it came with a bunch of you know questions
Hmm.
or narratives that would enable this dialogue. And it was in a PDF, and I was like, how do I really even engage with this PDF? So I just put all of that on VocaTales. I created your presentation as presentation slides. I created your PDF as actionable table, for on the storyboard, that now I started working on different story that the questions were. I think we can talk for 4 hours, not an hour. But that calls for a series. So now,
Hmm.
after this, we can just take this video, put it back on series one, Anubhav and Nikki, and here we are. That's the first video, and we get ready for the next one in the series. It can all be comprehensive at one place for me and you to go back and look upon, and for us probably even to be able to publish this as a
Wow.
public project and say, this is our conversation, these are all the learnings and everything. And that's how we can really bring this all together. So yeah, and obviously you've seen some of the value of that. Hopefully we can
Hmm.
integrate more of VocaTales into your own process, into your own workflow of dealing with all these other experts and humans that you're going to be bringing on. And now we don't have to send PDFs to them. We can send them things that are actionable, and they can keep working on them as they do more of these discussions.
Yeah, you've already improved our process, and I
There,
appreciate
there you go. Thank you.
it.
Thank you. That's what we want to hear. We want to hear more and more people go out and say that, process and outcomes
Mhm.
leading to the right impact. So, yeah.
I was going to say, like, this is not so for us. For those of you watching, if you've not been on the show before, we have this document where we ask you a bunch of questions about your business, how you got started, your social handles, and then how we can be able to give shout outs to you during the show. And he went and took all of that and puts it into this nice, pretty format to where you could just fill it in instead of like downloading a PDF and filling it in or making it in a Word product. So I really appreciate the human side of it, right? That you were thinking about this wasn't very easy for me. Let me see how I can make it easier for her going in the future. But you can use that same format for like an onboarding. You get a new prospect in,
Yeah.
you're going to build out their whatever the project is for them. And that could be the same type of workflow.
100%. I'm already doing that for one of the story masters, top advisors on Uptales. I'm kind of simplifying their onboarding process,
Mhm.
rather not just simplifying it, making it less tool driven, where you have
Mhm.
to go through. We went through their entire workflow. It starts with Typeform, goes to Magic Networks or Mighty Networks. It goes to Google Docs and Miro, and we started off with Google Docs and Miro. We've brought a lot of that stuff into VocaTales. The next we are going after is their onboarding on Typeform. How can we gather the first piece of information that people enter, right through Typeform, just like what I did for the Q&A with you. That's the only way to kind of build something that is an all-in-one tool of this sort, because user interface and user experience is absolutely key. If we don't get that right, people are going to get lost. So we have to do a lot of hand holding as well early on, and that goes back, part of the business model in a way, because that human interface is important uh, for doing the right things. If not, you can obviously go out and use AI to create a lot of just random interfaces as multiple different projects and try and use them, but at the back end they are not going to be integrated. That's where the catch is. So we are doing everything to bring it all together under one hood, without making it overly complicated. Now that's the biggest challenge that me and Gul, we brainstorm on, that we built this super mighty powerful tool or ecosystem, with an amazing flywheel into human and tool part of it, both dovetail beautifully into each other. But how do we now keep making it more and more intuitive and more experiential for people to be able to work on without much hand holding, especially
Mhm.
the first part. So I'm actually talking to a lot of advisors that I onboard, and when I bring their templates, we spend an hour just onboarding them on the tool. And once they get to know, once they see the power of it, they're like, there you go, we want to really use this, because this is going to streamline so much of our workflow already, and then some.
So then let's talk about the user because you're teaching the storytellers how to use VocaTales very well. What do you see the user that doesn't know how to storytell very well? What do they have to gain from that? Why does storytelling matter right now so much when we have AI to be able to do it for us? Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's a very powerful question, and uh, I may not have an absolute answer to every single aspect of it. People need to
Mhm.
realize that stories are important. They are differentiating. They are the ones that will help you connect with the user at an emotional level. And that is something that no AI cannot do. AI can create some extraordinary content for you, but talk about its relevance to humans, ability to understand human happiness, what makes people sad, understand losses. It's not possible for AI to really fathom that yet. I'll say that. I know we keep talking about moving to AGI, where AI will become as intelligent as a human. We probably already are at that. But when it comes to the human emotions, the empathy, the love, the tenderness, the care, the sadness, the losses, I don't think AI can understand that. And that's what we want people to understand through someone who does not understand what it takes to write a story. I'll give you again an example. 4 years back, I started writing my own story. I did not want to write a non-fiction. I'd lived 20 years in the business world, selling to CIOs and chief procurement officers and CEOs, businesses. A lot of sales. I've done over $1 billion of technology sales, and a lot of times I would uh, go and connect to them and with them at human levels, and that made the deals close, at stories that were human and not just business impacts all the time. There were obviously business impacts and outcomes and cost and all of those things that really matter, but people want to work with humans. So when I started writing my story, I could have taken a path of writing a non-fiction because I understood the business world so well, but I wanted to go back and connect to my core, my roots, of being a child myself, and being that creative person. So I started writing a fiction story. It was a fantasy fiction, and my first maybe 10,000 words of writing that story were written in a way that they were all high moments of the story. And then I sent it to someone who was a professional editor. They said, it's a great set, a lot of different good pieces of stories, but where is the story? Do you really want to write something that has a powerful narrative that people can relate with as they keep reading through it? I said, what do you mean by that? uh, you know then they started telling me a story needs, obviously, a character, a hero. Story needs a conflict. Story needs to escalate that conflict. Story needs to make you go through fire. And you're writing a fantasy fiction of all the things, so you need to be able to understand all of that. I said I did not know a lot of these things, uh, even though I call myself a business storyteller. So I did a creative writing course at University of Chicago in 2023. It was a 6-month long course, and I kind of really, to understand the foundation, the underlying elements of what makes a great story. Look, these things people don't understand, don't know when they are just setting out to create stories, to write stories. Unless you've done a creative writing course like what I did, which could be very expensive. Then what I did was, we started building as we were building the product, we started building those storytelling frameworks and templates on the platform. Now people don't necessarily have to go through a creative writing course to know all that it takes to create a great story. Bring the template on the storyboard. Now start building a plot of sorts, an outline of sorts, and there you go. Now you will be able to get the story. And I'll tell you another classic example. Very recently, this friend of mine, Joe Lazar, he's written this book, Super Skill, uh, Why Storytelling is the Superpower of the AI Age. A lot of people are moving the old fiction storytelling frameworks into business storytelling frameworks, because they all apply as is. People have to understand that there is a problem, there is a conflict, there you need to escalate the conflict to Man in the Hole by Kurt Vonnegut. I don't know if you've heard of that framework. He was one of the first marketers of GE, and Joe talks about Kurt Vonnegut and Man in the Hole and Cinderella and a lot of stories and frameworks that he has really put together. Very simple graphs. They are basically sine curves, hyperboles of sorts that he's created. And he said this is how a story should flow. Such a simple way to illustrate, enunciate the power of a story. And now when you see that structure, you're like, yeah, this makes sense. This is how I should build the story. Bringing those frameworks again to VocaTales. So you don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to thousands of dollars to really understand the basics of storytelling. Doesn't substitute education. If you really are, want to be a script writer, you want to be a creative writer and all of that, journalist, you still have to, I don't think there is a substitute to education. But can we complement that education for those who want to act faster and learn faster by themselves? Yes, we can. And that's where we are going with this. So yeah, the templates play a very big role in educating people who may not be a writer at all. But yes, you have to still understand a little bit of technology to use it, because if you were just to open a Word document and Google Doc, the blank page syndrome is real. Why? I mean, it's hard. It's hard to just open a document and start writing, and that's what we want to try and overcome through the tools and means that we are giving. And if not, go talk to an expert. They might be able to give you a framework. Get started there.
Right. Yeah. Well, and you have several that are prepared with the templates already made that they're ready and willing to coach.
Yes,
Um,
100%. And several that are ready, several that are coming on board. We are
mhm,
putting in a lot of work, to begin with, to make sure that their content, their templates, their frameworks are comprehensive. And I think it's the right model. And when people, all these experts come up and say that you've not just given us a new place to create our content and add more users, but this is probably going to amplify how we make more revenue. It's going to add newer revenue streams. I don't know if you know this, but in the creator world, creator economy is massive. It's booming, growing over the last several years. I think this year alone, it is set to be a $400 billion economy. The next year's 6 years, it's going to be $1 trillion economy. More and more professionals moving to this creative world. But
mhm,
what they do not have is this kind of an ecosystem to be able to create, to be able to talk to other experts who've been there, who've done it, the early adopters of being influencers, and being ahead in this creator economy. I think people
mhm,
can learn so much from those kind of people. So yeah, it's a continuously growing area of focus for many.
mhm. I believe that's one of the keys about the Top Voices Unite community is that they're storytellers, but they're from different industries. So you've
Yeah.
got construction, you have HR, you have we even have pharmaceutical. There's a variety of different industries, but I believe that the reason why they've been so successful and they become the industry experts is because they tell whatever the education is in the form of a story. They don't take the data and just leave it there. They present it in a way that's digestible, like you talking about using a youth to go through and tell about the founder story. In that same way, I believe that if visibility lacks the narrative, then it's just noisy, right? We have to have some kind of meaning to it. And even if there's visuals, that's even better, which I've seen yours. We'll have
Yes.
to bring that up sometime. The way that you've connected some visuals in your dream board. And I think when I was in elementary, it was like little clouds, right? You did little clouds around a
Yeah.
center and you
Yeah.
wrote your main idea. But what you have placed with all of the icons and the different templates already can help someone to tell that story for their business, with using
Yes.
the data that they have. Yeah. And we
Absolutely.
we need to do that for our companies. If we don't do that, no one else will. We have to share like what our story is, and the way that we know it. So.
Yes, 100%, absolutely. No, I think that is exactly the point of the building blocks that we have really put together,
Mhm.
because every single kind of storyteller needs those certain foundational elements, building blocks, or story elements that they need to know very well themselves. And
Mhm.
if you just are brainstorming them, and especially this is true for the new founders, using AI, you're not going to get the meaning of those at your own deeper level. And if you kind of start working through understanding and answering the questions pertaining to those building blocks or story elements, that is when you'll get the clarity. I'll give you one classic example of, again, back to Raj Nation. He helps people create this 1 minute elevator pitch. It's a very powerful tool. People may think 1 minute, what does it take to create a 1 minute elevator pitch? But when he his formula is such that it starts with knowing your customer. I mean, know thy customer is the most sacrosanct rule of thumb that every founder needs to understand. But people don't think about the customer first all the time. But his entire template, a process, starts with audience funnel. So know your customers, and then he breaks it down. He calls it K PASA, which is problem, approach, solution, action. Now you kind of break down each and every component of problem, approach, solution, action, which are building blocks of creating this elevator pitch. uh, you know People don't think of it like that. Now that
Mhm.
you've addressed a lot of those questions and they have come together, and you start putting the one liners that you've gathered across this entire comprehensive framework, and you start bringing them together one by one, there you go. The end result is your 1 minute pitch. Now this is a comprehensive 1 minute pitch, something that you would want to go out and tell people. That's the power of understanding the foundational blocks of creating any kind of story. Imagine we've just talked about a 1 minute pitch here. What does it take to create, an entire investor pitch, an investor deck? What does it take to create a non-fiction? What does it take to create a fiction, 100,000 word fiction, or 100,000 times 4 words series of fiction? I mean, that's how you need to understand, your several building blocks. And when you bring it all together, uh, it just makes life so much easy for you, and you remember and recollect a lot of those things on an ongoing basis. Back to the point, it's a thinking tool,
Mm-hmm.
and people need to learn tools like these uh, sooner than later, because the world is changing very fast. This entire human in the loop philosophy, psychology of working is very, very important, because look, clearly AI can do a lot of things that humans today do, but
Mm-hmm.
thinking is not one of them. Brainstorming in bigger units is not one of them, and that's what we are doing here. We are providing those elements for people to be able to do. And uh, and and every single process, uh, especially creativity and storytelling aspects of uh, human history, I think are purely human. And that's why we need to be able to look into these building blocks and be able to build your stories based on your lived experiences, your shared experiences, and your just your imagination, and then work with any other outside tools, or you can call them new species. I think AI is moving towards that, literally, where it might be a species that humans created. But we are certainly working on it. Yeah, I mean, we've done it, right? We've done all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, we've created the aliens that we talked about in movies for years.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so true. Yeah, but I think people need to advance and do learn some of these tools. Gone are the days when people can say you cannot teach old dog new tricks. I think people will have to learn new tricks,
Mhm.
just to get better at things that they are good at. That's
Yeah.
that's what it is, and hopefully we can enable them do that through our tooling and human ecosystem that we've built.
I believe there's so many people want to be creative, but they might have gotten lost, right? They got their job and they had to start adulting, or, they're in school and they graduate. Now they're trying to figure out what it is that I'm going to do. But to have a framework to say, hey, you can be creative, and here's step one, step two, step three. And then if you're going to build a business, you need to focus on step four, step five, step six, because it's your responsibility. And building a business or building your career, you need to remember all those things, like how to be creative, how to talk about things in a fun way. Otherwise, you're not going to have anybody paying attention. And maybe the solution that you have, and this is something that um, I love to tell the people that we work with, is like, the solution that you have is awesome. We need to figure out how everybody else can hear about it. And we have
Yeah,
to tell it in such a way that they would be enticed to differentiate yourself compared to everyone else, because they need it. Otherwise, why in the world would you have the product in the first place? You have to
yeah,
have products that provide value. So I appreciate this way to unlock the steps of one, two, three. If you just need to tell a story about your career, in four, five, six, so that you could be able to really hone in on what the solutions that you have provide, not just your story, but also the story of your solution.
yeah,
So,
yeah. No, no, 100%. And I think there are more and more people who are lost these days,
mhm,
because that's just how fast the world is changing.
mhm,
So if we can provide this opportunity for those people to be able to go back to the drawing board and think about what is it that they bring to the table, what's the core skill that they have, and maybe go back and think like a child again,
mhm,
through these creative processes, I think they may be able to uh, you know revive their careers. They may be able to do more in their careers, because people have gotten into the shell that this is all I can do. They've put themselves in a box, and I think people need to think outside the box right now, and get better at what they do, and they can do more. Hopefully with this ecosystem, we'll be able to provide more of that to people, professionals and creators alike. I see this as I talked about this creator flywheel, but I think I see this as a professionals turning into creators, and
mhm.
creators becoming smarter professionals.
Yes.
It's a journey, and that is changing. I mean, imagine we are talking about $1 trillion in creator economy by 2030, and where that means more and more people are going to move into this world. But I'm very focused on the creators who are creators of written content, frameworks, stories, structures, than the YouTube creators or than the Instagram and TikTok creators, because they are very different. They have different approach. They have a very different way to sell their skill. So VocaTales and our ecosystem right now is not geared to cater to those creators. It is geared to cater to the professional creators,
Mhm.
and the writers, storytellers of sorts. And LinkedIn is a perfect place to do that, actually, because LinkedIn is today the only, I would say, the last of the current big social media platforms that does not have a solid creator infrastructure.
Mhm.
A lot of people have become top voices and creators, and people are really, they have a billion people, and of the 8.5 billion people that are out there in the world, they have a billion users and close to 600 million active users and growing. That means that LinkedIn could be a great place to be able to get the right education for creators who are creating content, creating stories, creating their founder pitches, creating marketing, advertising, brands that need to be positioned out there on LinkedIn. So I'm certainly looking at making sure that we can use this LinkedIn as our platform where we want to build a strong go-to market to be able to help more and more creators on this platform.
LinkedIn is a great place for this. I mean, even from the About Us section, to be able to tell who you are as a professional in your posting, to be able to lay out that content calendar, you have that. It's my son. To use the articles, you could do weekly newsletters, you could do monthly newsletters, but all of that you could also lay out in the platform with all the templates. So I'd say that being able to tell your personal story is just as important as your brand story.
Yes.
And LinkedIn's one place. You also, I think of Substack and Beehive. Those are other platforms you could be able to leverage.
Is there your husband coming back from fishing?
Hello.
Well, we didn't get to do proper introductions here, but we are in Nassau, Bahamas. We're on a month-long journey with my family. We have a boat that we're doing some videography for, and we realized the other day when we were at the SS Sapona, it is really hard to swim. And so he just came back with flippers. So we're gonna go do some snorkeling later with flippers, so it makes it easier for us on the current.
You need the flippers for sure, and especially the snorkeling mask.
Mhm.
Just make sure that the snorkeling mask does not have a hole.
Right. Thank you. Good tip there. Yeah. The set that we had before did it, but I'll make sure this next set doesn't either.
Yeah, I experienced that. We were in Nassau and Bahamas in December, and I went snorkeling, and we had to go probably at least half a mile, if not a mile, into the ocean. And I got the mask that had water coming back into the mouth, and most of those are like that unless you own it. And then there you go, a little bit into it, and my mask started putting the water back into me. And I think by the time I was back out, I might have inhaled, drank maybe a liter of saline water, ocean water, but I was okay with that.
Oh my gosh.
uh,
Well, I'll let you know if I'm not here next week for another live stream. You'll know.
I hope not. I hope not. You hope you make it. But
Right.
worst case, if you get a lot of saline water, seawater in you, you'll just get good cleansing.
Right. That's perfect. Yep, that'll be great for my career.
Absolutely.
Well, I have, let's see, 5 questions for you. And it's supposed to be rapid fire round. So if you were to say which one is more important, would you say scale or depth in a business?
Depth early on, scale later.
Okay. And if you were starting a business, new founders that might be watching may have a different feeling versus old founders. So give me your 2 responses. Is it more important to have a business that creates a lot of profit or that has a purpose? And it could be one without the other.
Any business that starts with a purpose will eventually have profit. It all depends on how much runway you have. But I would any day bet on a business with a purpose. That's who we are. that's why we are building what we are doing. uh, Otherwise I would not have left a CEO minus two role, lucrative sales job, and done what I'm doing. And yeah, purpose is paramount, and I think everyone should try and find their purpose. And if they really want to, go out and use the Ikigai template on VocaTales, and that hopefully might help you actually find your purpose.
I love it. Tell me, one AI tool that you use the most.
I use Claude the most right now.
Mhm.
I used to use OpenAI a lot, but I did not find OpenAI to be that precise. Claude is a lot more precise. I also use Nano Banana for certain images that we use for creating templates. But I think Claude is overall the most effective right now. But they all have their pros and cons, and you can only get this much from some of these tools. But every single founder should be using the AI tools. That's the best way for you to get better at what you're doing to build a business. You no longer need to talk to 20 different experts on Uptales. You can do with probably five, because you can do tremendous amount of brainstorming, especially on the business front, with these
Mhm.
AI tools that can help you give directions. And then you have to go back and talk to some of the other experts, real people, to say whether you're on the right path or not.
Sure. Well, speaking of the right people, everyone that we've had on the show has some kind of legacy that they want to leave behind. They want to be impactful to the right community. So tell me about what legacy means to you. Who is it that you want to affect, and how do you want to affect them?
It's a again, profound question. I don't have an answer necessarily right now. I live by the philosophy of carpe diem. uh, you know live today, and that's a Roman phrase. Live
Mhm.
in today. Don't get too lost thinking about the future. Enjoy your life as it stands today. So uh, the only thing that I would not want to be called as, and I think I've told this to you once in the call, I would not want to be, to die being called an asshole by my inner circle. I don't want to be known as a person who was an asshole. That's one. And second, I do want my kids to be able to stand tall, proudly, and say that their father lived a good life. That's what it is. I think as long as they can say that, not because they need to sound good in the eulogy, but because they really think that way. Uh, you know, Lead by example. So that's, I think, that will sum it up for me. But then there is a lot more that I can do. I think I have at least 40 more years to give back to humanity. So hopefully, between what we are building and the life that I lead, will be an example enough for people to realize that, yes, there was something worthwhile to learn from this man.
Love
That's
it.
that's it.
Well, speaking of learning from this man, how can we exchange that? How can we be supportive of you? What kind of partnerships are you looking for? What can we glean from our community to where if someone says, "Hey, I want to be a part of what he's doing," what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, you've been extremely kind already, Nikki. I've said this to you, that platforms like these will give me and founders who are on these purposeful missions to create impact a lot more forum, and
Mhm.
that'll hopefully enable me to reach more people, reach more users, reach more experts, and their beliefs get stronger to support me. So the experts in your community as well. I think if we can add more value in their process and their workflow, so that they can create a higher impact, transform their business, make more money, I would love to do that. We will do everything in our might to help people to 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 get on that path of bigger success, whatever success means to them, or whatever way they have defined their legacy. Back to the question that you asked me, we want to help people build a legacy. uh, you know so yeah, connect us with uh, more creators, more founders, more storytellers, and more experts, because that's the ecosystem that we want to cater to.
Okay,
We
well
want to
then we'll
start
do
growing
it.
our business now. We've put in
Yes.
tremendous amount of time and money and effort into building the right tools, and now we want it to be used by more and more.
Well, we've said that the world's been flooded with AI generated content. And those leaders that take advantage of using a system, a tool, a framework like this, they're not going to just be loud, they'll be clear.
Yes, 100%. Completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing that already from a lot of people. I think I just saw an email yesterday from Stephen Bartlett. You probably know him. He has the CEO Diary as the book, and he sent that email saying, "I have decided that," and it's a very, very long email, "that I am going to write this email 100% by myself, every single one email every single week to all my subscribers of CEO Diary." And when I started reading it, I was like, "Wow, this is one hell of a long email. Did he really do it?" But then when someone of that, a person of that magnitude says that, I'm assuming they're doing that, and that's where the power lies. That's where the impact lies. When you're not really using some AI tool to be able to sound like a thought leader, to be able to sound like an expert. Use your experiences, lived and experienced, and learned, and then bring that to the table. And now you can obviously magnify it using anything else that you would like. But that's the world we are getting into. A lot of experts and practitioners and people who really believe in what they have earned over the years, they want to bring that out as human content, as human stories, to impact others and leave a legacy behind.
All of it's important.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate the information that you gave us, the access to this, and we will put in the comments a discount code for people to come and to experiment.
100%.
And you've seen the books that he's recommended. If there's any podcasts that you have, please add them to the comments too, so people can grow right alongside you.
You bet. 100%. No, I have a lot of books that are always sitting by me. But yeah, I will send some of those recommendations out there, Nikki.
Okay. And when yours is done, make sure you post that too, so we can be able to share it.
Sure will. I don't know how many fantasy fiction, young adult, middle grade fantasy fiction readers are going to be watching this one, but yeah, I'm sure there are many that would love to read it.
Well, thank you. Any last notes to say goodbye?
No, I think this has been a phenomenal talk, Nikki. And thank you for taking all the time out during your sailing trip and still continuing to do all of this for people that you care about, for the community that you have built. I think more people need it. So keep spreading the love and keep spreading the experiences that you gather, through this trip. Hopefully, we have a lot more to learn from you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Well, that is it for today. We will see you again next week. Those of you that have come, I'm Nikki Estes, and I am the CEO of Market Me More, and I'm here to market you more, to scale your voice, amplify you, so that you can share your message and solutions with the world, like VocaTales and Uptales. Thank you so much for coming. We'll see you again next week.
Thank you, Nikki.